some answers. That's a good example of one way to actually go down to it. There's also different types of, you can see all the different companies as well as all the different products within the Clear ecosystem. You'll notice that some products are actually not released yet. Like I can even show you elements of this device right here, but we have to get the product right and we have to get the market opportunity right. We're not going to compete with Apple, a $2 trillion company, on its own terms around deploying devices and hoping that people buy them. No. We want to deploy a vision and opportunity where people will actually engage in it, purchase it, and then if they purchase it, like within Clear United, we've only launched really the phone, right? But imagine other devices such as storage or such as different types of body devices that can communicate with the body, or maybe different types of charging units. So here's a simple charging unit, which by the way, all the Clear phones, 420 and 620, have wireless charging. So I put it up on a magnet, but it also charges it at the same time. So that could fit in your kitchen, that could fit in your car, that could fit on your desk. But it's a simple, basic device. But we're not going to go and spend money in a hopes that there's a market for it. We're going to allow you the opportunity to actually purchase it up front. And if it reaches enough, here, I'll actually show you exactly what I'm talking about. So if you go to the Clear store, you see the 3 phones that are available today, and then you see pre-release items, right? So I'll jump into these earphones here. And this is actually the exact same earphones. So these earphones, okay, they actually charge within, right? And then they'll also charge on the phones, on select phones, right? But these things here, we posted out there, and not only did it get fully funded, we needed $380,000 to fund the development and production of these, but we actually got almost 150% funded, so well overfunded. So that will become a product, but some of the other ones, these other ones are actually not productized yet. They're, for instance, on this particular one, we're only 10% funded, and literally, we'll continue to, in my opinion, like for instance, on this particular one here, again, we leverage open standard-based hardware that's out there and then put a platform on it that doesn't communicate back to third-party systems. So we're using open hardware standards and then putting software on it that securitizes those. We're also doing some customization with the hardware as well. But this particular one, it's a watch, but it's also an earpiece. And then at the same time, it's actually a body scanner. So you can check how are your sleep, how's your oxygen level, what's your respiration level. Actually, it doesn't do respiration. What's your blood pressure or what's your pulse, basically. So this one is getting better, but that's a good example. I'm going to jump back over to the slide deck. So basically, Clear support is live. The next thing to look at is the compensation plan, which again, there's 40% that gets given away. There are 7 circles. It goes for the first circle, 10%, second circle, 10%, then 5%, 5%, and then 1%, 1%, 1%. That's a total of 33%. And that is based upon your direct influences within 7 circles away from you. Now, you can get unlimited number of people in any of those circles, but we don't want you just going deep, 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 deep. Well, Ollie and myself actually went and met with the Attorney General before we even decided to go down these ecosystems. And we talked to them about what they look for. Number one, we showed them the business model. They loved it. Why? Utah just entered into their second lawsuit. I won't even go into the details of why, but with both for Google, and then they've entered into their first one with Facebook. A lot of them are around trust issues, but ultimately it's one way to drive awareness with big tech and the way that they're doing it. But with the approach that we're taking, where there's membership rewards, people telling people, we want to make sure that it's tight, the communication is honest, the communication is done with people, and people are making money from people that actually know those people. So that's one of the reasons why it's only 7 different circles away from you and not unlimited like a lot of other companies do. We also focus on things that are tied to drops and pools. So to get a drop, you basically refer 3 people that make a purchase, and they're a current active subscriber. So they've purchased a phone, they've got a subscription, you've told 3, you get 1 drop. that one drop goes into a pool that represents 7% of total revenue on Clear United eligible products. And the more people that go into it, it just gets divided up equally to it. There's some details around this, but this is basically new. There's also going to be the element. Clear Token has been I'm switching gears. Clear Token has actually been out for over almost 2 years now. There's over 90,000, I think last I looked at it, there were about 86,000 different wallets that the Clear Token is actually held in. And then Clear Rewards is actually a new reward system that will be pegged to the US dollar. So as the US dollar inflates or deflates in the I wouldn't even go into the math and some of the things that are happening with inflation and the reality that's going to happen financially in the future. But Clear Rewards can basically have a 1 reward to 1 US dollar liquidation transfer. So if you want to go and transfer it into other assets, let's say gold or silver, or maybe into a different crypto. So let's say you want to go into Bitcoin or into Ripple or Stellar or whatever you want to go into, you can convert that in real time and hold these assets. But there's a difference between the fair market value with a reward in a dollar and the fair market value with a token. And that will basically be usable in the community in the future. But also, let's say on the roadmap, if you actually dig in, and then it's the slide following, you can see down here in 2025, we're actually already planning for 10% of all of Clear, which today we've only released about 14% of Clear total. So we would take 10% of Clear and release it onto the public markets in the US and other exchanges, maybe the Frankfurt Exchange, maybe the Japanese Exchange, but we will release it into their own exchanges in 2025 is the goal. And we're working with current folks in those ecosystems with the New York Stock Exchange, et cetera, and basically going through a process where we want to only do this on decentralized exchanges. We believe that the current exchanges are a form of legalized gambling because you can inflate or do stock splits, or you can just create more ownership out of nothing. With these ecosystems, you cannot. And so it's really important for us to only go live on a decentralized exchange based upon the same principles that we're helping to disseminate around the world. The exchanges always stay up. There's only fair market value. There's no breaks. So if there's a market crash, the system crashes itself and continues to go down. The risks, yes, they're there. They're massive. If you're speculating, it's highly, highly risky. Clear it in any form, whether it's with rewards or particularly with the token, is not available in the United States to non-accredited investors other than folks that are actually on Clear United as an influencer telling other people about it. That is the only way to get Clear Rewards, literally. So when we look a little bit further in the difference between Clear Tokens and Clear Rewards, with Clear Pay, you'll be able to get your Clear Rewards, and then you can convert into other things. You could even convert into maybe a token, or maybe a Stellar, maybe a Ripple, whatever, they're different ticker symbols, similar like ETH or BTC, etc. So hopefully you start understanding Clear and the value that it actually represents. You can also understand how they get rolled out and how basically, and this is a good example of what we're going to do with the pools and the drips with the different phases. I'm going to go through a demo here on how the actual onboarding process should happen, because we see that a lot of people are not getting linked up with different. So when you come to Clear United, one, you should always have a referral. And the referral should have come in a process real similar to this. So when I actually find a product, okay, let's actually jump into, oh my goodness. Okay, I was worried there. That's probably why people are confused though. That prior screen should have the same button. so that they can actually send them to people. That's probably one of the disconnects. So what I did was I just clicked the share button. It's going to ask me for my name and email address. I guess we just got to use the system to figure out why people are frustrated. So that's exactly where you're frustrated right there. So basically, you want to share, not just, for instance, this little got clear is my unique identifier. And so I've tied it to a phone that's unique that I want to actually tell people about. If you tell people in this way, it will literally automate the whole process. So when someone actually uses that URL, it's going to go to Clear United. It's going to verify that it's you. It's going to literally lock. You see how it automatically put that referral code in? And then it literally, when they go and check out, it automatically adds the user to an account. So it actually creates, it literally, I won't actually go through and do this, but the point that I'm driving at is by using this shareable link here, it automatically gets them to the product that you want to tell them about. It automatically creates a Clear United account. It automatically puts them inside of your circle and links them to you. And all of their purchases are all commissionable to you in rewards. So literally that one link, the user only has to click next or fill in information for 4 screens, and it's in the checkout process, and they're automatically in Clear United and in your circles, and you're getting commissions on them. So please look for that link. And I just totally figured out why some people like last 2 weeks, because we changed the design on this. And when the design came over, it didn't have the little link, even though it's got the eligibility. So totally our miss. That's probably going to solve a bunch of questions right there, by the way. So anyways, let's get back on topic. So that's the right way to use a referral code, okay? This next one is something that you would have just seen gone live within your ecosystem. So if you log into the Clear United portal on your dashboard, everyone now basically has this button, and every 30 days it's going to reset. So on a scale of 0 to 10, what's the likelihood of you recommending to a friend or colleague a Clear product? And we're always looking for this. This is what's called a Net Promoter Score, an NPS score. And everyone in the organization, not just influencers, but actually folks that use Clear products, will always be asked this. Why? Because as you recommend people to it, we care, and you should care too, because the higher the number, the 9s and the 10s, you can actually go through, you can see who your promoters are and automatically go and ask for more business from them, or go and say, would you tell more people? But the detractors, the 1s, the 2s, 1 through 6, both Wally and my world are accountable for these. Literally, we care about anyone that is a 1 through a 6, and we will engage these to understand why. And it might be a simple thing like what we just experienced. It's like, I thought I was driving people to you, but I didn't follow a process because your process isn't really well understood. But my point is we need to know about the problems. And if we know about the problems, I promise you, we're a leadership team. We're accountable and we care about serving. We are here to serve. Many of you are here to just make money, and that's fine. But the drivers for the folks that are behind this, yeah, we've got to have money to sustain life and be in society. But ultimately, especially with what's going on in society today, mankind needs to unite together, be accountable together, to literally serve one another. And as we do so, we can weather the storms that are coming. I'm not going to dig into what they are, but I can tell you it goes right back to the same things around trade, around currency, around political realities, and even technology realities. Brittany Kaiser came out about a month or 2 ago. Wonderful gal that dedicated her life to literally blow a whistle, along with Snowden and Assange. And these people that are literally saying there's a problem in the technological world. And one of the things she says is social media and technology has been weaponized. And she says, and I agree with her, that data surpassed oil in value. And when we take those two things into check, it's massively important for the individuals to be in control of their data and to be in control of their information. And if we do those two things successfully over the next decade, I'm not talking about all the other things, but if we can literally just get privacy and ownership back to the user and the ability for these users to actually get information and discern from that information, we will be successful as an organization of Clear United. Yes, there can be money that's made. Yes, you can get them on cards. Yes, we'll go through it how, but jump into the next slide. This is basically in circles within the Clear United backend. This leaderboard will actually start tracking NPS, Net Promoter Score. In addition, it'll start tracking who's actually paid or not. So watch out for this thing starting to actually shift around, because every single month, as we have this town hall meeting on the first Thursday of every month at 11 o'clock Mountain Time, we will literally be awarding the people that hit this, the top 4. So please pay attention to the details, pay attention to timing. If for those of you that are doing this for 100% of your income, please help us to build a better system for you. I know, like, for instance, Nicole got on a plane just this, I don't know, was it last week? No, it was last week. I don't even remember. The weeks all run together. They shouldn't, but they do. But her and Glenn and even Troy's here. I don't know about Raymond, but they've all come out and they're literally trying to ask logical questions. And Nicole even said, here's my 5 questions. And they were very good questions, and they're probably consistent with some of the questions that will be asked here in a second. But I guess the point is please help us to get organized, to get you the right data as quickly as we possibly can. Because we've got to build this thing while we're navigating at the same time. It's not that the technology is beta technology, and you need to understand what I mean by that. Again, I've been in the industry since 1992. I believe that when Windows 95 was shipped from Microsoft, it was absolute alpha / beta software. I believe that Windows 98, same type of thing. Until they got some of the later versions out, and it didn't, remember the blue screens? Until that stuff stopped, it wasn't non-beta tech. Some of you say we're in beta. I wouldn't disagree. But what I would ask for and plead is please help us to not just, it's one thing to shoot holes in things. It's another thing to constructively bring it to attention so that we can make it better. I beg you, please help us to do that, because as we grow, the volume's only going to get more noisy. So please. This is another thing that went live within the last 48 hours, where individuals or influencers can actually go into their circles and search everyone that is in their circles. They can also sort it by ranks, by drops, by Net Promoter Score, by paid influencers, which is not being tracked today, but it will be, and then by the number of members. The combination of all that data will go into the ranking, by the way. The actions will actually span out in addition to not just viewing the user. So it'll actually go to a page like this where you can view information about who this member is, and maybe what they've purchased, and maybe what you've actually made in rewards off of them. By the way, Troy, thank you for making a purchase, and $7 went into the world. But anyway, so thank you. But in addition to the view buttons over on the right, you'll see things such as text them or email them or call them or even video call. This will be built into Clear Signal and integrated into the Clear United backend. It's not there today. I'm sure you're already, the other companies that you've been selling for that are 25 years old, I'm sure they already have that. But the system that we're building here is from scratch, from the ground up, and specifically built on decentralized systems that actually are encrypted. That's very different than the systems you're currently using. So please be patient with us, but know that these things are coming. When we start talking about that master private key, so this is going to give one use case of an example of basically how Clear ID with those 12 words was actually going to benefit mankind. So when you actually get a new application, we're not going to ask you to do another 12 words. You're automatically going to get, so on the left is actually a production build of ClearPay, okay? Still in beta, some of you have it, but the bottom line is we're going through an interface update as well as stability structure, but it'll be done this month. You'll literally be able to transfer assets this month. And when you actually go through this, the derived wallet inside of that. So that QR code is a public code for a derived wallet that doesn't use the same master private key it doesn't use the same master private key. It uses a derived version of it that then has a master private version on its own. The point being is this will simplify how all mankind uses blockchain technology or decentralized systems or the many other terms that have already been put onto it, crypto, whatever. We look at it as really they're decentralized systems ultimately. In this case, maybe it's a decentralized currency because it's digital, but you can also see a US dollar in there as well, right? So you're connecting up the physical world, a dollar that's printed, and the digital world together. Why? Because mankind, as we advanced in technology, the ability for governments or even private or even international monetary funds to create something out of nothing with no accountability behind it is just too tantalizing on one hand and too corrupt on another hand. And ultimately, there's no accountability behind it. All systems will go decentralized using forms of systems like it, such as a decentralized currency. And in certain terms, $11 trillion was actually sprinkled into the US market over the last year that was digitally tracked. Most people don't even understand what just happened or what is happening. But ClearPay is very important. And when you get ClearPay, so it'll literally just be an app on your phone. It's not a stable app today, but it'll be an app on your phone. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay. When you actually get this app, you scan this QR code to validate who you are. So you've logged into your interface on a web interface, or it can even be on a different phone. And then you take the ClearPay app and you scan it, and that's actually what gets you paid. And what's nice is this other little button here, you can actually download, and maybe I'll just show you real fast. So I'm going to clearunited.com. I'm going to log into my backend. I'm going to click on rewards. I'm going to wait for this puppy to load up. You will not need to do the redeeming in the future. Once we're live, when someone actually makes a purchase, 33% of those commissions will automatically be paid out. It's also important for you to go back to the legal documents and understand the returns policy. Because we're paying out literally 33% instantly and another 7% with a total of 40%, those monies are never going to go back to that user. So you need to make sure you communicate to them. If they're buying this phone, they can't expect to have it returned and get a full refund because we just paid out 40% to you guys driving awareness. Hopefully that makes sense to you, but it's imperative for that to be communicated. But let's say I want to go and actually run a report here. I can select which month I want to run it in. I go ahead and download it. It'll literally pull down a spreadsheet. You can open it in whatever type of process or format you want to. This will be an example of a commission structure based upon the data that it ties to your particular world, okay? If that data is not right, there'll also be another button over here that starts a process of where you can actually link up with other people that you know that have actually made purchases. As long as you get those linkages like within the next 90 days, it should be a pretty seamless and automated process as long as the onboarding and referral process is consistent and accurate. So I'm going to go back over to presentation. Clear Signal will actually tie to these same systems. It's really important that you understand. I'm also just going to go navigate to this for you. So I'm going to go to Clear United again. I'm going to click on products. I'm going to click on Signal, and it's going to basically take you to the ClearOS marketplace and other providers where you can actually go and get Signal. So it's going to talk a little bit about the features and functions. This is actually using the Signal Foundation, which is basically an open platform for how communication happens within Signal. They're an amazing foundation, one that the Clear Foundation's been touching and involved with for years. But ultimately, we believe that from a communication standpoint, their protocol is the true and correct protocol to use. But we actually take it with the ClearDID contacts and tie it to a decentralized ID instead of a phone number. Very important for the future, but it'll also actually work with the existing Signal organization. So if you've got a friend or a grandma that's just not getting off of her iPhone, she can still use her iPhone. She can download it. So in other words, If they want to do it for other platforms, they come here. You can grab it for Mac. You can grab it for Linux. You can grab it for Windows. You can grab it for iOS. Or you can even just go to Signal, grab theirs, and they're cross-platform. So literally full encrypted communication, cross-platform. The Signal stuff from the Signal Foundation will not be DID-based authentication, but still, it's a great technology. We highly, highly recommend it, even if you're not using a ClearPhone, but you want to communicate with people that are not on a ClearPhone. Now, this is going to talk to the question that Wally had asked for on behalf of some others. But imagine your training content. So this January town hall meeting actually pops right here. And we can actually see who's taken what to make sure that you're getting the information. So let's say you bring somebody in 3 months from now. There's going to be 3 town halls that have gone by, and they literally need to go and watch those town halls to be able to get to a certain point where they can start getting the rewards. We want people that are pushing real data. If Clear is all about truth, and ultimately elements of physics, then it has to be communicated from the folks that are on these calls, from the folks that are influencing purchases. We do not need to inflate what we're doing. We do not need to make claims or accusations that are not true. We need to represent truth to the best part of our ability and set expectations so that net promoter score is always high. If the net promoter score is high, just like Apple has a loyal following, Clear will have a loyal following. Please, it's your accountability. We will measure you on this. It's your reputation. We will look at all the people in your circles and see how they've ranked you from a net promoter score. And to be able to get those drops into the big 7% of pool every single month, they have to fill that information out. Literally, they've got to update that information. And it can't be something that's just played, but we're really looking for problems. Leadership inside of the Clear companies needs to understand exactly what's being experienced. And I think from some of the questions, just like I was showing you, for instance, same type of thing here. There should have been a little share button here when the original design went live, and then about 2 weeks ago, it got popped off. We need to know about these particular problems. And that's, by the way, that's why an eligible product is actually not linking up at the purchase prime. And most people are just saying, hey, what Clear's doing is important, sign up. But not necessarily sign up with an action to actually make a purchase of a product, namely a Clear phone, to then being able to influence others. One last comment before I jump off of the new tools. An individual must be a member of Clear United. Right now, it's absolutely free. But there'll be membership documents that you sign because it's a private membership to an association you're joining. And you must be able to have a Clear phone if you're going to recommend a Clear phone. It is not fair to the people that you're recommending them to for you to just say, there's something cool over there, but I'm going to stay on my iPhone for convenience or from laziness or from you just want to continue to be. Don't get me wrong. Apple has done an amazing job of paying attention to pixels and speed and user experience. But I promise you that the navigation system, the wallpapers, the desktops, the customization of a Clear phone is just as good, if not better. And heck, if you don't like the interface on a Clear phone, literally 60 seconds, watch this. Boom. I'm going to go and click on, I like an Apple theme. So I'm going to go literally come right back and you can watch that thing turn into what the user experience is on an Apple-based device. You want to see all your different apps the same way? Ultimately, it's how the users experience it. And a Clear phone, you can get a much more customized experience you will ever see on any Apple phone, at least that's out until 2021, early parts of 2021. So I'm going to be done with that. Let's go to any kind of just general questions. If they're not there, we can go through what the top 12 questions are right now. Wally?
Yeah, so just to let you know, we're almost at the 12:30 mark.
Okay, so we'll do future products in the future. So we've got 4 minutes for questions, or we'll just stay here as long as everybody has continued questions. We'll just keep answering questions through the hour. So we'll bump the 90 minutes on and just continue to record and then post this recording. So what questions do we want to start with?
So one of the questions was, is the 220 only for children?
No, it's a solid phone. The camera is not as good as the 420 or the 620. The memory, as a matter of fact, let me just pull up some specs for you. So to find specs, what you do is you just go, you can almost go anywhere, but you click on, you're going to go to, there's 3 different ways to get there. I'm going to show you the simplest way. So you go to the Clear Store and it just says compare phones. Okay. So you're going to see that the resolution on the screen is not as good as the 420 or 620. You're going to see that the CPU still has 8 cores, but it's 200 gigahertz less, or 200 megahertz less. The RAM on it, or the storage on it, is only 64 gigs, which, if you're actually doing the right thing with your storage and managing that, you shouldn't have much more need than that. The expandability you can take, and we need to add another space in here, which is expandability, to show them. But you can expand this to an additional 256 if you're only using one SIM card for the cellular network. If you're using both SIM cards on cellular network, you can't. But ultimately, the 220 is a very good phone. It's a 6-inch phone versus a 6.3-inch or a 7.1-inch. The camera is only an 8 megapixel versus the 48 megapixel. There's another spec sheet there. But other than that, the bands, the frequencies are all the same. On the 220, you actually have the old Sprint network in the US in addition to, so the 220 actually has more bands than the 420 and 620 when it comes to Sprint in the US. Other than that, same exact feature functionality. They all have earphone jacks. They all have the fingerprint scanners on the back. So, you can see, you can kind of see they've all got the little fingerprint scanners. They all function the same way. Yeah. So I hope I answered your question. Next question.
Okay, next question is, many people have been promoting this as an unhackable phone. If other apps are installed, are these apps protected by encryption in any way?
First off, I'm going to go right back to this slide all the way up to the top here. Again, coming from the security industry, it is absolutely inappropriate to say anything is unhackable. As a matter of fact, most of the things that are hacked are because the user doesn't understand certain things, or the architecture behind it was actually designed to be hacked. I won't go into the details there, but the net is, please do not say that this is an unhackable phone, because the first time you enable Google, which, by the way, all the phones except the 420 comes with Google enabled, the 220 and 620 do not. You actually have to go to Google and enable it, which is one of the most painful parts of onboarding it. But once you get past that, it gets really smooth sailing. But when you start enabling Google or Facebook or even other simple apps, those things are actually, WhatsApp. WhatsApp by itself, someone can send you a text and automatically engage your camera and your mic without you even knowing it and streaming that data remotely. You guys ever wonder why your PCs or your phones start slowing down? Literally, there's apps that do those types of things. So please don't ever say anything is unhackable, and try not to talk in absolutes like that. So next.
Okay, a lot of questions around plans for global expansion.
There's 2 parts to global expansion from my perspective. One is, how do people actually get the product and the service? And 2 is, how do people get paid? The product can be shipped worldwide. It has a GSA certification on it worldwide. It has FCC certification, not that people care about that outside the US, but it has some of the highest levels of certification for health for the human body. And that's another conversation which we'll get to in the future. But the phone, it physically can be delivered anywhere in the world, and we will ship it anywhere in the world. There's a list of terrorist-based organizations that we won't touch, but ultimately a majority of the world, as long as we're in compliance, we will ship it. The second side of it, it is your fiduciary responsibility, if you're bringing this into your country, to figure out, customs and to figure out any of the brain damage of your own country. But if you do it, the reward could actually be pretty dang good. We can't make a statement there, but if you're the only one that can get it in your country, that's a pretty good competitive advantage and barrier to entry. But what you need to do is get this phone in, get a clear phone in, and then go to the different cellular providers, specifically the ones that are on the GMSA network. And I think I just pulled up some of the bands. So this is your answer right here. This 4G, you're going to look for these bands. So you look for providers that actually have services in these bands, get their SIMs and put them in the phone and boot the phone. And if you can make a phone call, you're in business. So the next part of it in phase 2 is basically how do you get paid commissions? And the beautiful part of Clear, the rewards, you can actually convert this into almost any currency in the world eventually. So literally we will start with, and once you see ClearPay and how it actually works, one, you have a phone. You literally own your own data and your own assets with the phone. And if the phone disappears, you just go grab a different phone and your assets can come up there. Now, don't do that stuff until phase 2 is completed with the storage, because you got to wire those two things up. That's not done yet. But the simple reality is you can get paid in ClearPay, the ClearPay wallet. You can get paid in Clear and convert these into other. You want to convert it into a US dollar? You can do that. You want to basically convert it into onto a card such as this. So I'm going to jump to a different screen. In your ClearPay wallet app, you'll actually have a little button. It's going to get redesigned, but you can see this, the ClearPay Visa. This card, this is the MasterCard version of it, but you can actually use it to go buy a sandwich real time. So you can literally get paid, convert it into your card, and then use it. You'll also be able to link up your bank accounts to it so you can convert it, push it right into your bank account. You'll also be able to create virtual credit cards. You'll also be able to create, this is a full bank account that once you go through those applications, it's actually signing up for. And it uses the same authorized bank as the Coinbase folks do in the US. So we believe that there's solid legs behind us. It took us almost a year just to get that thing completed. But the point being is, once you can get the product and the service, you can get paid in your country. We'll want to take it on a case-by-case basis, and we don't want to make a representation that it is available where it is, but go figure it out. It's an opportunity. Next.
Okay, multiple questions around where the phone is made.
It's domiciled out of New Zealand. I'm going to go back up to that map. So Clear Cellular is based in New Zealand, and it's procuring all parts and pieces from New Zealand. Remember, we talked about being in a trade war? If you're not paying attention to what's going on, just go look at the big trade agreements that have been signed in the last 60 days that started over a decade ago. And the US and India are not a part of. So out of New Zealand, parts and pieces are procured, assembled. For instance, the cameras come out of China or out of Japan. The assembly comes out of China. Elements of screens and batteries can come out of places like South Korea. And there's future folks that are doing other elements within other countries, which I can't mention at this point. But it's basically the FCC and GMSA certifications are all out of New Zealand. So the IMEI numbers will actually come out of New Zealand. That should answer as much as we can answer at this time. Next.
Okay, let's see. So there's some questions around the 620 external storage. We're saying 256 is the expandable. Some people have heard 2 terabytes. I think we need to verify that and add that to the comparison sheet.
Yeah, so just like we had this comparison sheet up, wherever it was, there should be another little area here on expandable storage. The answer is you can add up to 256 gigs of expandable storage, as long as, like for instance, this phone, I'm only using 1 SIM in it. So I could add the expandable storage there. But if I wanted to use both SIMs from 2 different providers or the same provider, I wouldn't be able to do that. So the simple answer is 256 gigs of expandability confirmed for the 420 and the 620. If someone said 2 terabytes, it's absolutely inappropriate. Next.
Okay. There have been a few questions about what advantage is there for someone who still uses Google in using a Clear phone?
One, first off, the Clear phones are absolutely viable with Google. And it's not that you have to walk away from Google, but the ability to actually have a master private key that you own when you own the phone. So you actually own the phone, you own the logins. Once the logins, you can actually log into other systems, including Google. So if you notice on the right of the screen, imagine all of your own data from Google or from Facebook or from others, basically being able to, you own that data. So where you go, what you do, what you search for, what you visit, etc., can be all owned by you. So I personally would actually recommend today in this phase 1, use Google. Please feel free, use Google. Be careful to some of the things you're approving, your locations, sending data back to them, wireless access point data. Be cautious there. But Google has done an amazing job of providing infrastructure for free to the users, but ultimately you've got to ask yourself, why is it free, and are you the actual product? And I think you start understanding the next phase of after storage is over. So next question.
Okay, I think we've already established that Android apps will run on Clear phones, but the question is, many questions around iOS apps running on Clear phone.
No. So iOS apps will not directly run on a Clear phone. However, there's almost 1 million plus apps above and beyond the Apple-based apps that are on Android. So if there is an Android-based alternative to it, you can use it on a Clear phone, and you can get that in 3 different ways. I'd recommend today you just use a Google Play Store. In the future, we're basically building out a marketplace. So again, I'm going to Clear United, I'm going to Marketplace, and you can basically get all the Clear apps, and you can literally just download them from here. Example, you just pull it down, right? Or you can get third-party apps. So today, there's literally a small section of them, but you can get these from Clear. So this is independent of Apple's world or of Google's world from their Play Stores or their marketplaces. So literally, you can go and grab these different apps. This is coming from Clear. There's also going to be one, and in my opinion, it's not stable, but that's actually why it's not on here. But there's one, it's actually in some of the base images, which in my opinion should be removed right now, but it's called Clear Apps. And Clear Apps is basically like Google Play Store, but it does everything Google Play Store does, but you don't have to actually have Google Play Store. So you can get it from going to this marketplace, web-based interface on your phone, option 1. Option 2, you can go to Google Play Store, and option 3, which you'll be able to have an app called Clear Apps on your Clear phone. Some of you already have it. Don't use it right now, but it's continuing to get perfected as well. We've got engineers on that one. So next question.
All right. So some of the core Clear apps, if they're not working perfectly, what is the timeline for updates? And how will those be rolled out?
The first one that'll be rolled out after Clear Pay is Clear Life. So it's going to go Clear Pay, Clear Life, and Clear Pay is not even up on this screen right here. But Clear Pay, then Clear Life will get an update, which will then impact some of the Clear GM updates. And the Clear DIDs will actually replace this Clear Names. So those are the top 4 that you would really want to mess with. Clear Care is solid and stable. Clear Web is solid and stable. Clear Med is working on the decentralized ID. Clear GM is actually solid from a functionality standpoint, but from a user standpoint, there's still some Clear Life and Clear GM. By the way, if you or anyone gets a Clear phone and Clear GM says it's not working, it's probably because you haven't scanned. When you actually get your phone, you get this little QR code, and you actually need to scan it at boot up. It gives you proof of ownership of the phone as well as your data. So it's called Own Your Own Phone and Own Your Own Data. The other stuff are basically alternatives. Like you don't need the calendaring apps and the different apps if you're going to use like mail. If you're going to use Google, just use Google's mail and their calendaring stuff. It's awesome. So next.
Okay, there's so many questions. It's hard to get to all of them. We do have a few hands that have been up for a while.
We'll go ahead and we've got 18 minutes left. I'd like to go into straight just Q&A. I'd like to recognize some folks that have literally just, if you've got your hand up and you've already had someone that's come onto it and you're not new, then try and target those first, Wally. And then the rest of the questions, I don't know. I don't know what the questions are. So do you think that we should do them later, or do you think that we should try and tackle a couple more for a couple more minutes?
We've had our friends from the Cook Islands with their hands up for a while. Okay. They actually had the first hand up. We do want to recognize them. Is there a way to allow them to speak?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and enable that. So you just mouse over them and say allow to talk. So they're able to talk. First off, I'd like to say welcome. Asked to unmute. So welcome from the Cook Islands. And we're thankful for not only being open-minded to what you're doing, but also to signing an agreement with us, then paying some money, then getting some phones and going through all the testing. And it's just amazing. I know that we probably won't, I don't know if they're even able to talk. It looks like they're still muted, but they're wonderful people, and we're grateful for the opportunity to work with them. I'll let you, so I guess we'll go ahead and allow folks to talk. If you've got questions, go ahead and pop them out. Let's try not to talk over one another. And Wally, while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and ask the next question.
Yeah, so I'm looking through the questions here, but May, you had your hand up for quite a while here.
Yes. Hi, Michael. This is May from Canada. The first question is, can we offer affordable way to ship to Canada? One of my members just paid $170. That's the first question.
That's expensive. That's I would hope a better way. Is it because FedEx doesn't deliver up there, or why is it so expensive?
It's just FedEx. I think there's cheaper option with other courier or with USPS.
USPS, we just tried.
I agree. Let's avoid USPS.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's FedEx.
I have packages from November and December still not delivered to my home.
Exactly. So we have actually standardized on FedEx, and not just standardized on FedEx, but we've actually standardized the boxes that we have. Like the phone boxes actually fit right inside of the FedEx packing boxes, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3. We've literally built them to work with it. So I think really the question is, could Clear United Corporate work a better deal with FedEx internationally? And I personally don't know the answer to that, but we will take that task. Okay, May?
Thank you so much. There's a bunch of us waiting to order. Another question is financing. We have people ready to order. Can that be made available to Canadians?
We're happy to extend the subscriptions that Clear United would finance, but not through third-party financiers like Bread. And on the 6/20, we'll actually open that financing back up come, I want to say Monday of next week. So.
Oh, good.
Oh, good. So basically, if I get on, I would be able to get the financing?
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. One of my friends, an IT professional, and he keeps saying that although then we own the 12 words, he says the private key must reside on the phone. So that was his question. And how is that secure? I'm
actually not going to comment on that one, other than what we're going to do is have a full security session. There's a launch that Chris has worked hard on as far as kind of just announcing next month. And we'll have an individual. He's a wonderful man. He's actually the one that's accountable for that. And I promise you, not only is it logical on how the keys are managed, but it is the most advanced processes from a cryptography standpoint that can be done. So what I would propose is you find Conrad Rosenbrock's session next month and you invite this friend and you guys literally go at it and we want third-party validation. That's why we do things in open source. As a matter of fact, how those keys are managed, they can actually go through the code and understand elements of it. So security is number one, but also we want to be able to have something that is not just crazy secure, but it also is very easy from a usability standpoint and can compete with the best. I think Apple's user experience is really good. And then at the same time, it's super affordable. So affordable, usable, and secure are the three boxes that we plan on, and we already believe that we've checked as far as going there. So May, thank you for your questions and your energy. Next.
So basically, we want Clear Cellular in Canada, and how is it going to be rolled out in Canada? I have a friend here who says the licensing is extremely complicated.
Your friend that's talking about licensing, can you be more specific?
He basically tells me it's impossible to have Clear Cellular to be rolled out in Canada in Q1.
So we're getting some feedback. I don't know if that's in your side, but basically, Deutsche Telekom. So Wally, what you do is we find, it's actually, I think it's coming from May. So May, we're going to go ahead and mute you, okay? So the way that it works in Canada is there's two different ways to get the cellular service there. One, you can ride on the existing networks you're already on, such as Rogers, etc. Two is you can actually use a US-based number. It's got to be activated here in the US, which it comes from Clear Cellular. We're getting the feedback. We're going to go ahead and mute some more people, see if we can solve that. So you basically can activate it here in the US and then use it up there, but it's not going to have a local number for you. So, but the long distance for voice and data and text will basically go from US to Canada to Mexico. On that type of an edge case, the high-speed bandwidth, if you're not right, if it's just peering from a US network. They are in the normal place. This one as well. I think the noises should stop. So hopefully I've been answering your questions while I'm trying to mute these as well. Looks like we've got a couple more hands up. Corey, you're welcome. Ty, Laverne, you guys are all good to ask something if you want to. Wally, any other questions? We've got 10 minutes left.
Hi, this is Corey. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So I want to expand on the question that I asked earlier about the security portion of it, because there's been a lot of people say that if you download other apps that it's secure and that they can't track you and you won't get the ads, but it's really through the Clear Web app that you're secured and non-traceable.
No, you're going over like three different topics. So one is Clear GM stops the ads, the advertisements, the banners, as well as the remote listeners. So let's say that just like on telephone or on TVs, they had, when you connect them to the internet, they had mics on them that would take that data and then push it off premise to some other source. When they try to push it off premise, ClearGM stops those things because it's not where the user wanted to go. So the combination of Clear Web and a URL, when they try to actually go to a site, everything is basically, from a security standpoint, using machine learning and artificial intelligence to stop the banners, the advertisements, the remarketing, in addition to things that are listeners like that. Now, that's not going to stop somebody if they go and download Facebook and they actually enable that app. It's not going to stop people from having their conversations recorded and sent back to Facebook. So I think if we break your question into logical chunks, we can get to solid answers. I think ultimately we cannot make the statement that this thing is unhackable. Nothing is unhackable. For instance, one of the reasons that ClearOS Server even exists is we were building secure platforms for HIPAA within the insurance backend, within the payer backend, within the provider backend, all the way down to how an individual would enter in their data on a sheet, and then someone would type that in. And if a keylogger got onto that computer, the whole thing was broken. So my point is the user is really has to be responsible on what apps are going to install, because there are backdoors and there are data leaks within these apps. And if people want a banner or an advertisement, all they have to do is go to those types of sites. And you can even go, like DoubleClick is one of the biggest advertisers that's remarketing stuff in the world. And if you want to, you can even go and enable that stuff. But the point is we put the user in control with ClearGM. Does that answer your question or comment, Corey?
Yeah, it does. I just wanted people to understand and be clear that if they install a Facebook app or Twitter app and they go inside that app, it is not protected per se, like the Clear Web. If they want to use Facebook, use it through the Clear Web browser versus a Facebook downloadable app.
Correct. In many cases, like if you go and use YouTube, if it's an app versus the web interface, you can absolutely block like the commercials or banners or stuff like that. You can literally limit them. On the app, it's already integrated in, so it's very hard to do. But all these guys will do is they'll basically put their own domain as the front where the address is coming from. And if they're doing that, it's great because we can see who's using what. But anyways, next question.
Yes, I got one.
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Real quick, I have a team of about a few thousand people that actually love to use this phone. Well, we actually went to go look to see how to purchase the phone. I seen that some of them needed like the $50 or $100 plan. Does that have something to do with the finance not being up to Monday? That their only option was to pay like the $400 or $100 up front?
Yeah, so the 220 and the 420 are available through financing from Clear United today. There is a third-party option for the 620, which you can purchase it, and actually, you notice this little button down here. You can actually get third-party financing right there, and it goes through the checkout process. So you can have monthly fee. We've seen a lot of abuse, and we're just getting into it. So we're trying to understand some of the data around it. And that's why that phone was targeted, so to speak. So,
okay, so do you have to go to that plan in order to get the financing?
So the 220 or the 420 will internally finance as long as there's not abuse, and it's good. It's recommended from a Clear United member. Remember, this new digital world, your reputation matters, and so the people you're bringing in, if they default, it's going to impact your world. So we want to literally bring in people and create this new ecosystem, because the new digital world, decentralized ID, will create the real credit and reputation measurements for mankind, period. The current systems are just a joke, so to speak. So does that make sense?
Yes. I just want to make sure that, because so they have to wait till Monday, we open it back up?
It'll hit before Monday.
Okay. All right. So they pay the financing fee, or they pay the phone outright. And then if they get the phone outright, they can use a chip from their phone now, or
they can buy any of the phones right now. It's just the internal financing for the 620 only is available through Bread. It's not internal anymore.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy. Who's next?
Hello.
This is Edwin from Nigeria, Africa.
Hello, buddy. Hi, Edwin. Welcome.
Yeah. Please, just a quick question. What plans do you have for the African continent and specifically Nigeria? Because this is a very big market for the mobile communication system.
Not just for mobile communication, but ClearOS servers in Nigeria in a big way. We have a lot of companies that have built their business on ClearOS server, and they take it into a lot of different companies there. So open source and these types of platforms in Nigeria and Africa in general is very well accepted. And as a matter of fact, in countries like France and even large portion of the European Union, the government is mandated to look for open source platforms before paying for closed source options. So one, there's a big market for you. I agree with you. It's your opportunity, Edwin, to literally do what I said earlier, where you go find the GMSA provider that works on the bands, and then just grab a phone and test it. And then once you find it, I promise you, there's going to be a provider. Well, I can't make the statement that I promise you, but the net is the standard for what the world calls, G2, G3, G4, G5, and in the future, that standard is what we're built on. So it should work in your country. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. Then the second one, the last one, how do I get it delivered to me when I buy it over here?
We'll ship it to you, buddy. We'll just ship it to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We ship stuff to Nigeria all the time. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
It's not smooth, but we'll get it there to you.
All right. Thank you.
Next question.
Michael, I just want to clarify the Canadian cellular service. If I subscribe to a service here in Canada, do I have to be physically in US to activate the service, or can I activate a service here?
No. So let's say that you want to activate Rogers Telecom in Canada. You can go into Rogers and you can activate a new service, and then you can get that SIM and put it inside of the Clearphone, and it'll work.
But what if we want clear cellular service?
You would have to use a US activated number prior to it shipping to you.
Okay, so it's not available to us then.
If that's what you think is, then I guess it's not.
Okay.
Okay. Next question.
Hello, Michael.
Hi.
Yeah, it's Abel from France.
Hi, Abel.
I have a simple question. So I really want to know if all these phones are working here in France.
You got to do the same thing that we just went through in Canada and Nigeria. You basically you get the phone and then you test it on the different cellular networks. I can personally tell you that I have actually been in 35 countries. France was one of them, and my cellular service worked fine. However, if you're using it outside the region, so the phone will work fine with a provider that's local to you. You need to figure out which provider that is. But I use my provider, the same ClearCell provider, in France, and everything worked fine. It just stepped down my my data speeds were not high speed, and I would have had to pay for my long distance on my cellular calls. Otherwise, phones would. So you need to find a local provider. Like what I was saying to May, if she, Rogers up there, if you find your equivalent of Rogers, it may be like Orange Telecom or Deutsche Telekom or something like that. Go test those networks out. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So we're straight up at the hour. We'll go ahead and take one more last question, as long as it's not on the same topics.
Hey, this is Corey.
Hi, Corey.
A question about the influencer. People are unable to update their payment card information in there on the form. Have y'all addressed that yet?
Okay. That is an issue that we're aware of and currently has an open task on it.
Okay, good, great, because it's all about the money, man.
Amen, brother. And hey, we're working our guts out to try and get you guys the money. So please help us, please. And I want to say I've when I was told that this is the way to market, I really didn't want to do it. I've come from the corporate world with channels and supply chain and accountability and discipline, but it's been a breath of fresh air to just meet the quality and caliber of people and to see the excitement. It's just a matter of how can we focus that excitement to be able to get really good product and I believe one of the best money-making opportunities. And really, these will be jobs of the future, not just for adults, but I think that kids. Like imagine a mom that basically grabs a phone and says, my 14-year-old kid can recommend these things to their friends, and everyone, they become a new influencer, so to speak. And there's no reason why they can't get paid in that. And they can't get a card that goes with it. And they can't actually interface with the rest of the world just because they're under 18. So thank you, everybody, for caring, for asking great questions, for being here. We will take this. We will record it. It will be in the Clear United back office. That will be under marketing. And again, under clear.support is where all the questions will be answered and asked. So even the questions today, we'll make sure that there are answers that are there. It looks like there's well over 100 plus questions we haven't even gotten to that maybe Wally has already done it. But I want you to know that we are here to serve. Both Wally and myself have worked together for well over 20 years. We've built companies that have proven new markets, that have, we've done a lot of acquisitions, we've done a lot of growth. We've also done things that are new and unique in certain industries, but ultimately we do it with a perspective of serving others. We are not above you. We are not better than anyone that's out there. We are here to serve. And we live that in our lives. And we've hired a lot of people in the same county that we're in. There's literally thousands of jobs that are currently active from things that we've done. But we're excited for this type of a chapter. Before I started working with Wally, he actually worked, how many years did you work at New Skin?
I was there 10, almost 11 years.
So he ran worldwide distribution services. So a lot of the comments that came up today, can I get it in this country? Can I make sure that it's this quality? He ran that for New Skin for over a decade before we even started in the tech world 20 years ago. So Wally has well over 30 years experience. And ultimately, we're actually trying to grow this thing in a very decentralized way with not a lot of team members, not a lot of employees, headcount very, very low, get things automated as much as possible. But we understand there's a point where you need a human, and you need to be able to get that support when you want it, when you need it. Our goal is to get the volume on the phones high enough so that we can actually have 24-hour support. And it can be justifiable, because you got to realize we're trying to fit into a 10% operating budget, which is unheard of in any of these ecosystems. We believe that we can actually do it, but today we're not within that budget. So we need your help to be able to just continue to do this in an organized growth pattern. But please recommend the Clear phones, learn the Clear phone, understand it, ask questions, rewatch this movie or others. There'll be tons of training that's coming out. We actually on some of the most, I'm going to go to support. Some of the most asked questions not only are just in this new chatbot thing, but you can actually start finding videos, how to add a SIM, how to set it up initially, how to migrate from an Apple phone over to a Clear phone, how to transfer data, all these different videos. These 6 videos just went live this last 24 hours. And we just shot another, I don't know how many more, but we shot some more yesterday. We're shooting some more tomorrow. Today's Thursday. What is today? Today's Thursday. We're actually shooting it today. So
today.
Anyways, it's actually 1:00. I'm supposed to be in another meeting. Thank you for all you're doing, guys.